Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Hey, we are back. We are here. It is the first week of the year.
Period.
Boop, boop, boop.
You rhymed.
I did, and I failed at rhyming in elementary school.
Yeah, you sometimes still do as an adult, but you did
I
it.
do, all the time.
Shade.
Shade.
Where's the root ball button? Wait, because we need it. Specifically on this show.
Whoop, whoop.
Ooh, ooh.
Oh.
Oh. And this is the button now. Nope. And this is
Holly said, and you still do now.
That's great.
I need to put that in the system so I don't have to search for it.
It also weirdly kind of sounds like this game you can play online called Among Us. That's a very similar sound effect, and where there's about to be a dead body.
God, it's so good.
I love it.
I love it. So we are live on the Miguel and Holly YouTube and Facebook page and the Hits 961 Facebook page. Make sure to please, if you do not listen to Miguel and Holly full show, Miguel and Holly Blown Off, Miguel and Holly Queen City Confessions, all of those are their own separate podcasts. And if you do listen, please rate them. You can listen on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you listen to podcasts. So I have this really cool thing I want to get to here in just a little bit. It's 10 predictions about 2023 from 100 years ago.
What? Wait, what?
What did people in 1923 think we would be living in 2023?
I cannot imagine. They couldn't imagine.
It is wild. But first, I wanted to talk about the person here on the show who is health. Who is health? Who would like to come forward before we came on the podcast and we were talking behind the scenes about them being health? Who is health on the show?
Well, Holly's the skinniest one here, so I'm assuming it's she's the face of health.
I mean, thank you for calling me svelte.
Skinny legend.
Kelvin?
It's not me.
Not me. I am not health right now. Kelvin, why did you say you are health?
The reason why is because I'm drinking what is this? A 67 ounce?
Yes,
right?
That's
a 67 ounce
gigantic amount of water.
bottle of water, and I'm almost done. And I've already had a bottle under my,
Ooh,
in
you're
my
like
bladder.
You're getting all of your water intake for the day in before noon. I'm not sure how good that is.
I'm gonna go to the gym later.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Oh.
Because I'm going to eat real good tonight.
Oh, what are you eating tonight?
I want to go to Haberdish, which is like a southern restaurant.
Yes, I wanted to go to Haberdish last time we were there.
It's
I was there.
So good.
Oh,
so good. And
okay, so you're going to go to the gym in preparation for that. But why are you health today?
Well, today it's because I went to the bathroom and TMI, but my liquids were very clear. And I feel like the face of health when that happens.
Yeah, you are health.
Yeah.
We love to see it.
Yeah.
We do. We love to see clear pee.
Well, we talked about it for a little bit, and then because there's a lot of things that people just don't teach you. It's like things that you learn along the way. Like my mom never growing up was like, your pee should be clear. That means you're hydrated. It's
I'm sorry. Well, hold on. Because people in the 80s did not know what hydrated was.
No, they were like, hey, drink a Sprite.
Yeah. They're like, hey, get you a glass of milk.
Yes.
You got to get those bones.
Yes.
Quench your thirst with this Sprite and this Diet Coke or Mountain Dew or Surge.
We would eat cheeseburgers with milk in school.
Milk. We had milk.
Ugh.
The only thing I think I drank for my entire childhood was milk.
Yes.
And on the occasion, Margaret would let us have Kool-Aid.
Ugh.
Anyway.
I'm trying to think, did we drink milk in high school? Or
Yeah, I did.
did you? I'm trying
For
to remember.
dinner. That was the option. You either get water or milk at dinner, but water was discouraged because milk made strong bones. That was the campaign that milk ran very successfully, I might add, in the 80s and 90s.
I'm curious if there have been any sort of studies done on like millennials and how that like 10-year period where milk went heavy on those milk ads, how that like are more of us lactose intolerant because of that, because we drank so much fucking whole milk growing up.
I had the
I don't-
chocolate milk.
I don't know.
Ugh,
I
I
did love
couldn't
the
do-
chocolate milk at lunch.
Ugh. I like
loved
strawberry.
it.
I like
Oh,
the
that was
not the
good.
strawberry. I couldn't do
I
chocolate.
would save my chocolate milk because it was like my little dessert. So I would like eat my school lunch, and then at the end, I would open that little tiny half pint box and like slam it down. I'd be like, milk. Loved it.
I think I did that once, and that's when I threw it up when I was in kindergarten. And so I couldn't do chocolate milk after that. I think that's why I don't like chocolate drinks like hot cocoa, because I
Oh.
like remember being like drinking it and being like, my stomach hurts. And then you know how like when you're in kindergarten and like everybody file in a line to go back to class.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like everywhere, and all the kids being like, ew.
I know.
The
and
worst feeling in the world.
puking
Right?
in school is the worst.
And so ever since then, whenever they'd be like, we got chocolate milk, I'd be like, not me. Nope. I'm not going down that path.
No.
I wish they would do some kind of study about millennials because I would love to know what the lack of water did for for a generation. Like I would, yes.
Well,
I wish I knew.
Wait, hold on. When you think about what we went through, like obviously every generation they have something that they went through. But like think about millennials. We were the generation of the milk campaigns when Ritalin came up, and I remember in middle school everybody being on Ritalin. I was like, what is going on with us? And then it moved on to like other pills when we were in high school, and then people were abusing pills.
Oh
like,
man.
Opioids.
Yeah.
Well, you went to that rich kid school. Of course, they all had those kind of pills.
Oh, y'all.
Did I say something bad? Like
no.
sorry.
That just triggered something that just happened in my life recently.
Oh, what?
So this is completely off from what we were just talking about. But when I think about kids on pills, there's like one kid I remember who like I think he took his parents like Xanax or something, and he
In
would just
high school?
Oh yeah,
I had
like
one of those too.
yeah, and he was just like out
I
of
was
it.
very sheltered, y'all. I did not know if this was going on or not.
Girl. I mean, I
I'm
didn't
sure it
know
was.
they were like he's on pills, and I was like, what does that mean?
I know. Like,
Um,
I didn't even know what that meant in college. I lived a very sheltered life really until I met Miguel. So anyway, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, this kid I had a crush on, but he was like, it's that weird sort of what do you call it? Stockholm syndrome, where like the people that make fun of you, like you sort of still like secretly.
Yes.
And he was one of those guys. Well, I don't want to give
That
any away.
is a weird kind of Stockholm syndrome, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean that's a
Like-
big thing in the gay culture where it's like, you know, a lot of us were made fun of by jocks, but then what sort of porn do we watch? Jocks.
Porn.
Like it's such a strange thing in the gay community how that
Yep.
works.
That is weird. And
another
I
study.
imagine in like
Mhm.
high school in crowds where they're like all making fun of each other, but they all stick together and you're just
Mhm.
like, are these your friends?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Like,
they
it's-
are.
Right. It's really weird.
God, that is weird. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had a bit of an epiphany about that. But go
That's
ahead.
all right.
So
So-
he's that.
Had a crush on him. Then like we sort of like were just friendly our senior year. Well, a couple weeks ago, one of our friends who is straight, but I think he's on the sexuality scale and he's figuring out his identity, and he's like, oh, you know, I'm fluid. I want to, you know, paint my nails. I want to wear leggings and things like that. And he's sort of documenting it on his social media. Well, apparently this guy who I had a crush on, who was like the bully, is writing this like heinous, like, you're disgusting, you're a pedophile.
What?
Like I mean, like just going, people were sending me screenshots of this conversation because I guess this guy has like gone off the like far right wing deep end. And so I went
wow.
to his profile and we were friends on Facebook for a long time and he's unfriended me.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh my God. And now people
That's
are
the
like,
guy with the pills that you had a crush on?
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I guess he like has come back full circle to being like super homophobic and crazy again. But anyway, so that's when you said pills, I just thought about him and then how that all just went down during Christmas break. And a lot of people from our high school were like, Is
I
he
wonder
gonna
if
like bomb something? Like, is he
I wonder if
okay?
he has some very, very, very deep childhood trauma.
I'm sure. I always
Because if
felt
you're
that
on
back then.
pills that early in life,
Right.
trying to numb pain, and then
Mhm.
now you're just lashing out with such hatred, like that man needs therapy.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's really sad because I remember in my my mid 20s, like looking at his profile and being like, okay, he could still get it if he wanted to, girl.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, you are fucking nuts. Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So anyway, health.
Health.
Kelvin.
Me.
Clear P.
Clear P.
Clear P.
So let that be known to you if you don't know, because when it comes to health things, there are so many things that if you've gone through the journey of health that you think is common knowledge, it's not. And so
Mhm.
saying something like your pee should be clear, you're like, wait, what do you mean? Like some people, I didn't know that. And so that's stuff that we should talk about. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
also-
a valid point. Full circle.
Absolutely. And also your poop. If you are eating healthy and everything is right in your system, you should be able to poop. And when you wipe, there should be nothing there. That is picture perfect health.
Right.
Yeah, that's so true. And Miguel, you were saying like how successful you feel if
Oh
you
my
poop
God.
that way.
Man, when that does happen, that every now and then I'm like, yeah, girl. I want to run out to the living room and be like, Abe, Abe, my poop was clear.
She bottom ready.
I love when you get to a point with your significant other where you can discuss like poop with each other. Because I told my person the other day, I'm like, God, I am constipated. Like now that I shared it with you, I'll too. But like, he was like, that was me like a couple weeks ago. Why don't you try this and whatever? And we've had these whole ass conversations, and I'm just like, thank God to get to a point. I appreciate it. Appreciate that.
It's nice. And Holly, what you said earlier, Whitney said, my husband might call it a ghost poop.
Yes, that's what I said before we got on the podcast. I said that's ghost poop. It's like you don't even know. You're like, did I poop? I can't tell.
Be like, there you go. So these are things you should know moving forward.
I didn't know about the poop thing.
Oh yeah,
I really
yeah.
didn't.
Yeah,
Mhm.
clean.
Like
Because if you're eating enough like fiber and fruits and vegetables and not going hard on like red meats and all this stuff like that, your body actually, it cleanses itself. It's
Right.
like this cyclical functioning,
Detox.
like it's like in and it takes all the nutrients it needs and then out with just whatever's left over instead of like all the other different kinds of poops that you might have.
which you can Google too. Like I think the Mayo Clinic, they have like a guide of like, here's what you're, because actually the different consistencies that your poop can be in, like it's your body is telling you what it needs or like what's wrong with it. So it's
that's
actually
true.
really
I forgot
fascinating.
that.
That's important to know.
Yeah, it really, I mean, like all like jokes aside, like it's really interesting to like look at your body is always telling you what it needs and like what it wants. Like when you're craving a certain thing, or like they always say that like in the summertime, if you're thirsty, you're already like you're already dehydrated.
You're already
Like,
dehydrated.
You should be drinking before you're thirsty,
Yes.
drinking
Right.
water and stuff
Even
like
not
that.
just summertime. Now, I found
Yeah.
myself thirsty yesterday, and I'm like, oh my God, I let myself get dehydrated again.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens.
And so many of our aches and pains, it's because you're dehydrated.
Oh
Makes
man,
sense.
yeah, that's why I was nauseous for like my entire life
Yeah.
because it's like the same feeling as being hungover. That's dehydration. That's
Mhm.
why my hangovers were so incredibly bad. I was just dehydrated. Now, obviously, alcohol does other bad things to you as well.
Right.
But the crux of it was dehydration.
Yeah.
And that would make me feel like garbage. I threw up at school because of dehydration.
Oof.
Yeah. Really, before we move away from poop, I have one other fun tidbit.
Oh.
This one, my pharmacy major roommate, one of them, told me in college. And for some reason, I always think about it if this happens in the toilet. So maybe it'll happen for you too when you think about it. If your poop is floating, it means that you have gas. And so you need to have just take that into account. Like Miguel said, you can tell a lot of things by your poop. If it's floating, there's gas that's happening and you're probably not that comfortable either. And there might be a food issue or something going on. So thanks to my pharmacy roommate for that one.
Look at that.
Okay.
Not
Learning.
only do we talk about drama and confessions, pop culture, we tell you about your poop health.
We've been talking about poop and pee for 10 minutes. I was gonna say, let's bring in our coworker and see how he's doing.
Which one?
One of the salespeople.
Ryan? That was just
Why
here?
did you
Yeah.
go right from that to that?
Wait,
Because
Why?
he's truly the face of fitness, and so I felt like, is that true? When you poop, do you actually not like? Is it always ghost poops? And so,
do you want to go grab him to bring him in?
Are you actually telling me you want to ask him if he always poops ghost poops?
I never said I wanted to ask him. I said we should.
Do you want to go grab him?
Should we?
No.
The first conversation we bring him on
This
to
is
this
the trust
podcast
tree
is-
with the platypus posse and the three of us in it together, and you
Miguel-
cannot bring an outsider in.
Listen, Miguel was down, but if Holly isn't, I'm gonna respect that. But
God, no, please,
I'm gonna
no.
respect it. But
He can come in on most any other topic. I don't think it should be this one.
Wait, Holly, you don't want to talk to him about
Miguel was down.
No.
I was like, listen,
No.
if there's one way to make it, because then you can segue
Yeah.
from, talking about health and poop to, hotness levels in the conversation we've had a couple of times.
So you just want to bombard this man with uncomfortable topics.
Miguel is a motherfucking marketing genius.
No.
That bitch is calculated, and I
You
love
don't
it.
know what
I
his
love
comfort
it.
level is for any part of this.
Well, we'll
And then
find out.
once he's here, what's he gonna do? Be like, I don't really want to talk about it. He gonna moonwalk out of the room?
No, she's comfortable with everything.
No, girl, you see his social media. He's ready to talk about anything, honey.
Well, I'm really trying.
I love this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, enough with the poop talk.
Yeah.
Let's clear the toilet.
It's Miguel and Holly
The Queen City's new morning show.
on Hits 96.1.
All right, 10 predictions from 2020, 10 predictions about 2023 from 100 years ago. All right.
Right.
So here are a few predictions for 2023 made by experts 100 years ago.
Oh, experts, not just the layman.
So let's see here. This is coming from one of our prep services, so I'm just going to read it straight through. Someone went through old newspaper articles from 1923 to see what experts were predicting back then for 2023. People will work a max of 4 hours a day.
Oh,
The headline for that one was "No More Hard Work" by 2023. They said electricity would make it possible. And because in 1923, less than half of U.S. homes had power.
Oh, wow. My grandmother was 3 years old at that point, by the way. Like, that's it.
That didn't come true.
Honey, you got a
They
big
really
storm
thought they were
coming.
gonna. They really thought that like we were gonna be so advanced. I'm sure, and then capitalism.
Wait a minute. They thought in 1923, by 2023, there would be, they'd be so disappointed. No ugly people.
No.
They thought
That's
beauty
so mean.
pageants would become obsolete because it would be almost impossible to choose a winner.
That was the
What?
shadiest shit you've ever said. Press that button.
No wonder. Like, no wonder that my grandmother and probably a whole bunch of the other silent generation were silently judging you. Like, they were so concerned. My grandmother was so concerned about makeup and her looks and did her hair look good.
Mhm.
Oh, for shame.
Miguel said they'd still be disappointed.
I mean, girl, let's be honest. People
Ugly,
got
no,
some
ugly.
people got some ugly personalities.
Yes.
All right, so here's what
Hard.
else they thought would happen from in 1923 about 2023. This one I don't get. Women will paint their teeth black to be fashionable.
Why?
I don't know. They don't give you explanation. This is the prep show. I don't know. I don't know.
maybe that was just one of the, like a random thing someone tossed out. They're like, what if women paint their teeth black? Like they're like, oh, you paint your fingernails, why not your teeth? Like,
I mean, I think it's one of those just like what's crazy that could happen in the future. Like
yeah,
when you
like
think
the
about the
opposite of
Hunger
now or something.
Games, you know, like how they dress. Or like there's that show C on Apple TV Plus with Jason Momoa where it's like the world goes blind. And then, like, here's what happens 200
like, what's
years.
the craziest thing that would ever happen? And that's it.
Right. Like, I think about that. Like, what is life going to be like in 21, 23? You know, like, ooh, we should make an article about that and bury it somewhere.
Yeah, we should put a time capsule together.
Yes. This one's just sad.
Oh.
In 1923, they thought by 2023, gasoline would be replaced by radio waves.
I don't think they
gas.
Understand how that works, but I do wish that had, like, I wish that electricity or something had taken over gasoline.
Yeah.
Like, you see, they thought it could.
Right.
And it can, but the gasoline people are like, not today. You're going to keep paying us money.
Mm-hmm. In 1923, they thought by 2023, the average life expectancy would be 100 years old. And another expert said 300 years old.
Okay, hold on.
Well, that's because the average in the U.S. back then was just 57 years old.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And now it's around 76. The oldest living person is set to turn 119 next month.
Good Lord.
I think that's not that far off from what really happened.
No.
Like, with the advancements in medicine and surgical stuff, like penicillin, when did that get invented?
Yeah. I mean, who's to say that that doesn't happen to us? You know, I mean, or like
with
us.
Artificial intelligence and like with all of this, I'm sure the life expectancy is going to extend even further.
Yeah.
So that's a valid one. Okay, 1923.
They thought in 1923 and 2023, flying from Chicago to Germany would only take 18 hours. They were actually too conservative with that one. It's really half that now, around a 9-hour flight.
Look at that.
So we have bested their expectations from then.
Good. Look at us flying.
Oh, this one's just sad.
Oh, no.
They thought in 1923 that by 2023, cancer would be eradicated.
Again, it probably would have been if the drug companies weren't trying to get money.
I know, that's right. Well, supposedly they're working on some sort of pill now.
I did see. I saw
the COVID
something
vaccine.
about they had given. God, my memory is foggy, but they had given some type of cancer patients some type of new trial thing, and every one of them were in remission. So it's like it's there, and I don't doubt that they could have figured it out by now. Like they probably have figured it out by now, but there's no money in curing people.
Nope. Not at all.
Like, don't you just wish that there was like one, I mean, they would probably kill them, but there was like one ex-exec or some top person that would be like, yes, yes, it is true. They have in a file folder in the back of the CEO's office of the formula to cure cancer. But where's the money? Or prevent it.
Well, maybe they could make money with prevention. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, nobody would come forward.
Right. I mean, that's some of the things with like HIV AIDS. I mean, like we have like PrEP right now that a lot of people, gay men are on to prevent HIV. And, you know, you do have the medications to where you can be, oh gosh, what's the term?
Undetectable.
Undetectable, yes. Which, by the way, when Charlie Sheen came out as having HIV. And
oh my God, I forgot.
And I remember I was like,
God, he had HIV.
And I remember we talked about it and we got someone from one of the clinics, Metro in Tampa, to come on because I remember listeners were like, that's not true. You can't give. And I'm like, I mean, technically he's not wrong. And we had someone on and people.
Wait, what was it?
The PrEP, the medicine that they have that you're undetectable.
Oh.
But what is that with Charlie Sheen?
Oh, I was saying that's how the conversation was brought up on the air when we were in Tampa. And we talked about that. And then I called someone from Metro to come on and to explain it.
Gotcha.
And so many listeners were like, I had no clue that we had gotten to this point. And I'm like, well, that's because I don't want you to know that.
No, they don't. It's literally always all about money.
Also from 1923, what they thought would happen by now, 2023, homes wouldn't have kitchens anymore. That one basically said we'd have ways to make food using chemical formulas and wouldn't need to cook. We do have Uber Eats and DoorDash, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's
not chemicals.
I've seen a few like former colleagues living in New York, and they have done a lot with their pantries, like have made it into like external stoves and like a bunch of stuff. So technically, yes.
And there was a house that sold here in Charlotte.
That's right.
With no kitchen for like $300,000.
Yes. And I remember the article was like, no kitchen?
Yes.
Yep. Or whatever.
So.
I mean, they I don't know where that came from. Maybe like some war, and they were like, we can't be so food dependent. Got to figure out. It's like, I don't know.
Also, they thought that by now, telepathy would exist. That one said we'd even be able to speak telepathically with babies.
Wow. They were very optimistic about our own ability to evolve.
I mean, so I will say this, though. In a version of that, we do have technology that can sort of like translate like the cries of a baby. And if you really wanted to just try to like, I mean, Holly, we are talking to you from Charlotte. You're in Tampa on a screen. I mean, so obviously we can't read your mind, but like that's pretty fucking wild. If you were thinking, if someone from 1923 walked into here and they just saw us staring at these screens, like Kelvin and I are in the same room, not looking at each other, but looking at screens, and you're in Tampa and you can hear us, we can, you know.
Yeah, I know. That's not like the same as telepathy, but if we take a quick detour, I know this is 1923, so that's a long time before the Jetsons came out in like the 50s. The Jetsons like accurately predicted, and I just saw this as a meme somewhere, like a bunch of stuff. Like they had FaceTime on the Jetsons. They had virtual doctor's visits on the Jetsons. Like they actually had all this stuff, and it seemed like, whoa, that's crazy. But it like so much of what happens in the Jetsons is just our everyday life.
Right.
The way that they promoted the Apple Watch too was like old clips from old pop culture people just using their. I don't use mine, but it's fun to have.
No, yeah, not for that. Like I remember you remember the phone company MCI?
Yes.
They used to have I think I saw it on YouTube or something where they had a ad from like the early 90s about like here's what the future looks like, and it was basically FaceTime, you know, cell phones before we even thought about cell phones and stuff like that from back in the day.
But that is interesting that in the 20s they thought there would be telepathy. What did they know that we don't know? Like, were they doing experiments or whatnot back then?
Probably.
And they
used to experiment on people all the time. I mean, black people and indigenous people. Yep. And then the final one for what they thought would happen by now, and this one is weird, so don't ask follow-up questions because I'm just going to read it what it says. They thought by now we'd have kidney koozies. Like beer koozies, but to keep your internal organs warm.
So, okay.
Sure. Well,
like while they're still in your body?
Does your liver feel cold?
I mean, when I'm cold, I assume my liver is chilly.
I mean, maybe it was so cold back then. They were like,
I know it probably was fucking cold. And they're like, I just need to put a little scarf on my liver.
My lungs feel cold right now. They're shivering.
Maybe they thought there was some medical procedure that like your organs could work outside your body, and it would need like a little cozy.
This was after the plague, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
well, which one? The Black Plague or something?
Yeah, the 1921. Yeah.
I don't. Yes.
Wasn't it like the form of COVID?
They had the Spanish flu in the 20s, but that was not.
Oh,
that wasn't. That was a different.
So there you go. There are some things that they thought would happen by 1923. Now, what do y'all think will happen by 2123?
Oh, 2123.
We're all just not even going to be here.
Like, you know, I was thinking about the other day. I was like, we're not going to make it till 2100.
I don't know. Like things are not going well.
Living?
Oh my God. I just saw a fucking, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm swearing a lot on today's podcast. I apologize. I feel like I just saw an update from like AP News where it said like the polar ice caps are actually melting faster than scientists thought they would.
Oh, great.
And they're going to be like non-existent by 2100. 21. What's it called? The year 2100?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In
like
the future.
Yeah. So I feel like we're not going to have any polar ice caps. Half of America is going to be underwater. Like, where are we going to go?
Do you think America will exist in 2100?
I'm sorry, you've digitized. What did you say?
Do you think America will exist in 2100?
No, it'll be Gilead.
Oh.
I think it will actually split. That's my prediction. I think America will split by 100 years from now.
I don't know where America's going to be at. I mean, I feel like politics really changed in 2016. And so I just don't see them getting any better, but I hope they do.
I know. Maybe like they'll split and like, you remember how there was like a civil war and then things got better after that for a while? Maybe that'll happen. And then the outcome will be we'll get better for a little while before things go to shit again. You know.
I think my prediction is that America won't split, but we will finally deal with the fact that we are going by rules and a constitution for men
that's out of date.
Like, obviously the bones of it are great, you know, because we've been able to last this long. But I think we're going to have to reckon with the fact that, you know, we still have people in the Supreme Court that are trying to take it as a literal document of like, we need to go literally, not figuratively, and not try to interpret what they said. I think that we're going to have to deal with that. And that is going to have to be an update of the Constitution.
But how are we going to do that when you have these staunch people that won't? Because it's almost the same as like the people who are like, oh, well, we're going to interpret the Bible to like take the best form of the word or whatever. Then you have the people that are like, the Bible is literal.
I think by the time you get to us, you know, millennials, you know, we get to those, you know, 50, 60, 70-year-old ages, and then you have Gen Z behind us.
Yeah.
And then like your daughter behind them. I think with that collective amount, just the way things are going, there will be more people that are say, let's respect the bones of the Constitution, but we can't live by what these white men thought in the 1700s.
Right.
Like, we need to update it because now we have flying cars.
Right. I do think we'll have flying cars.
I think for richer people.
Yeah. Like I still think it'll be, well, in 100 years.
Yeah, I think so. Because we have them now, technically. They're just like probably like $400,000.
But that's what I mean. By in 100 years, they might be cheaper because there might be something else cooler. Like maybe normal people will have flying cars, but like rich elites will have like jet, like they all have jets that you can get anywhere in seconds or something.
I'm going to say, I think it's going to be too hard to create a highway system for flying cars. So I think it's going to be like one of those shows where how do you describe it? It's sort of almost like a roller coaster where it's like they like little tiny compact cars you get in, and it like zips you from place to place.
So like speed travel.
Yeah. So it'll be like that, you know.
They want to do something like that from Miami to Orlando, because the drive is usually like 4 hours. And so if you went on this like speed train, which I think they're still building, or maybe it's already completed, it would take you 30 minutes.
Right.
And so I feel like we'll have a lot more of that.
Yes. I think we'll be able to get to places easily. I was telling you guys, I read some article at some point that said I think the technology exists, or it's like the possibility of the technology exists. Like someone figured out the quantum physics of it, where you could go through like a teleportation door, and I could walk out of this studio in Tampa and walk into the studio in Charlotte. Like maybe the technology doesn't exist, but like the idea to make it happen does exist right now, but it could never, because society would collapse if they implemented that. Like there would be too much. Look at all of the businesses and companies and jobs that would suddenly cease to exist. people would be without work. There'd be no money to be made because
travel.
Like everything would change,
population
and the
numbers,
society, couldn't support that kind of rapid advancement in technology, and everything would just collapse with that. So they can't do it.
I've heard time travel is possible, but only by like 5 seconds, and so like you'd have to go really fast, and that's impossible on our bodies. But they say that it is possible. It's just like not that long.
Wow,
I wish we could do that.
Do you ever? So this is this type of stuff that freaks me out. I haven't talked about this show yet. The show that I kept talking about throughout the break that I am obsessed with. It's called Kindred. It's on a Hulu. And it's based off of Octavia E. Butler. She's this famous Black woman sci-fi writer from the 70s. And she wrote this book called Kindred about this Black woman, Dana, who is on a date with a white guy. She just moved from Brooklyn to LA, and all of a sudden she is taken back to a plantation in Virginia in 1815. And she's Black, he's white. He also is taken back with her.
I feel like I've seen a commercial for this.
You probably have. It is an excellent show. Like, Abe and I binged it in like 2 days. Such a good show. Can't wait for the second season. But it deals with like, and this is why like my mind was sort of blown. So like she goes there at 1815, and then she comes back to 2016. Well, there's one part of it where she's trying to explain to someone what's happened to her. And she is in this scene is like, God, I hope she wins an award for this. She's trying to convince someone that like, I have gone back. Like, I know what it's like. Here's what's happened, blah, blah, blah. And the person is like, okay, I believe you. I believe you. And then they go to call the paramedics because they think that she's had a psychosis break.
No.
So that I paused it and I was like, Abe, if I came to you one day and I was like, I went back in time, would you believe me or would you call someone? Like,
what did he say?
He was like, I don't know. He was like, it depends on if you were laughing or if you like, he was like, I feel like I could tell if you were like traumatized, because this girl, Dana, is truly traumatized. Like, you can tell, but the person who she's talking to, they're like, maybe you're just like going, like you're having a mental breakdown.
Well, also, if you are traumatized, you might actually believe that happened and be in a trauma response.
Right. And so that's why I was like, that really tripped me out. And I was like, it kind of creeped me out of like, you know, because you watch these shows and if someone goes back in time and then they come back, they just take it for gospel. Like, oh yeah, you did it. Yay.
Yeah.
Like, how do we...
No, nobody would believe you.
You know, but if that was real life and they ground it in such reality that you're like, what would you do if I was like, y'all? Because what happens is when she goes back in time, it's only been like 30 seconds here, but it's been like a week there.
Oh no.
And so she's experienced all this stuff.
Well, thank God. Because I get so stressed out about time travel shows that like you're missing your life now.
Right.
And like what's happening while you're not there, and can you get back?
Right.
Like I have such a fear of not being able to ever come back. Like,
well, there's one part of it, like I don't want to give too much away, but like, well, no, this isn't giving it away. It is. It's really good. So, and then think about, so that's like, that was sort of relating to like our time travel stuff, but then like on like race stuff.
Oh,
how like she's Black, he's white.
That's a whole thing.
And you're on a plantation. And so like, you can't just be like, oh, we're on a date. Right. So like, he has to act like her master and she has to act like the slave. So then they're there and then they go back to real time. And then there's like, and so that's what's fascinating is that I'll give you this little piece of it is that he's way more traumatized by it as a white guy than she has as a Black woman, because she sort of just is like, all right, cool. I'm going to say this. You're going to say this. I'm going to say this. You're going to say this. Right. And the whole time, the whole scene where they're back in 1815, he's just like,
yeah, I imagine.
Like, I don't know. And then they go back and he's like, wait, did that really just happen? It's Hulu, Kindred, such a good show.
That's wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys hop on the Black Mirror train?
Oh, yes.
Okay. That one episode, you know what I'm talking about? I think the credit score or something like that. where like everybody is just
rated,
and you can only have enough access for things.
I'm sure that it's really, really great. The very first episode, season 1, episode 1, it killed me.
The uncomfortable feeling that you get after an episode, like I've only seen a handful, so I get what you mean, and I get what you mean about the anxiety of like the time travel. I totally get it.
It's just, I'm weird like that. I'm weirdly sensitive to things like that, and it was traumatic.
I
was excited too. I was so pumped. I was like, I can't wait to start this. This was like back in like 2016 or 2017. I was like, yes. And then after watching it, it's kind of like after like a movie that everyone leaves the theater silent. I was just like, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that was the one with the pig.
Yeah.
And that's right. I forgot about that one. Yeah. I love Black Mirror. That shit was so good. Ooh. And then like, I mean, my favorite Black Mirror was the one with the credit score or the ranking, and then there was the one, I always pronounce it incorrectly, San Japanero. Did you watch that one? It was like where when you don't die, they put your memories on a server and you get to live out this life, or people can go and like get into the server and visit you in the world that you live in. And it's such a beautiful, sad but beautiful story. I love that show. It was so good. The Miley Cyrus one. Oh my God.
I love the Miley Cyrus one.
I'm on a roll. So good. All right, cool. Anybody have anything else before we get going?
I mean, I'm just thinking about deep, weird. What is it called? Like life existential crisis thing.
Yeah. Oh, and Holly, just to even freak you out some more. So,
good.
Whenever this girl in the show Kindred is pulled back, there's a specific way that she goes back to our real time, but she never knows when it's going to happen. And the white guy has to be next to her for it to happen. And if he's not with her, then he'll get stuck because it's only her. So he has to be around her all the time.
Oh, shit. No, I can't. It's too much. No. Oh, no.
It's so good.
Oh, my God.
Holly, what's your social media? People can come find you in the past.
Oh, God. That's Radio Holly on all the things.
Yeah.
Producer, I need to sit silently and just look out a window for a while.
Yeah. That's good.
Producer Kelvin, what's your social media?
At Kelvin Live. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and something really good is on the way.
No, it's not.
Bitch.
And mine is at Miguel Fuller on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and also Be Real. Love being on there. Make sure to give us 5-star rating if you would. And I forgot, I wanted to address, I think it was, where's my mouse? Someone asked about the Platypus Posse stickers.
Oh.
Working on it. Here we go.
Forgot about that.
Veronica and Miguel still waiting on the announcement of Platypus Posse stickers. We got to get a show logo first, which is being worked on.
I know that's
once we do that, then we can do a Platypus Posse. So we got to get that in order.
Press that button.
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Catch it on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Logo.